All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Green White Checker TV. Say new year, new broadcast, new cars, and it's going to be a lot of fun this evening. So I hope you are all doing well. Had a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all those funs and games. And tonight we are here for the season opener for all three series here tonight on Green White Checker TV. We're going to kick it off with the Super Speedway Next Gen series. Normally, of course, being used to the Super Speedway Xfinity series, making a change per driver request. Wanted to try these bad boys out and see what they can do. Matt, it's going to be a big difference tonight. These things definitely can get away from it being a pack race because you can really hook up to these guys and just set sail, almost the tandem draft, if you will. So we're going to see a lot of different things here. I think that Highline is going to be the place to be to pick up momentum.
Yes, sir.
There's gonna be a big learning curve for these drivers to get familiar with these cars this evening and then over the course of the season, which is gonna it always does. It's gonna click by extremely quickly. We're gonna basically have three sets of four races over the course of the season. So basically here Daytona, jump over to Atlanta Motor Speedway since that's basically a super speedway track now, and then over to Talladega, and then finish it up at iRacing Super Speedway. Do that one more set of times. There will be our 8 total regular season races, and then lead into our final 4 races, which basically you're going to have to be good at all 4 speedway tracks to be able to give yourself a chance at the championship. Big change there will be, of course, still the four races for the title. However, the big change will be there will be more than 4 drivers, no, more than 8 drivers, there we go, going for the title. May go up to 12 to 16 pending on car counts. So it's going to add a little bit more people into the party, and hopefully help keep the interest up a little bit in things as well. So, but yeah, I'm really curious to see what these cars are going to race like, how these drivers are going to like them, because this is a whole different animal than those Xfinity cars.
Oh yeah, it's going to be very tricky. Especially being at the tail end of the draft. It is going to be very difficult for the guys who are in the back, who like to stay in the back, to keep up with that pack. And it's worse than the Xfinity cars. So if you're off about at least about 4 or 6 tenths of a second, you can very easily lose the draft here. And that side draft, that is a big factor in this race as well.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. Is these cars are a lot more difficult to hang on to the draft if someone tries to blow on by you. I'm from hearing that obviously tandem draft works well. Side drafting is going to be something to keep an eye on as well. So yeah, so you're gonna have to make some friends tonight, and I mean I'm looking. It's again a little smaller field than I anticipated this evening, but it might be kind of the holiday hangover for some trying to get back into the routine of things. But hopefully we'll get some more in over the course of the season. Right now, it looks like about 20 drivers taking part in tonight's race. But it's going to be having teammates, people to work with. I'm looking kind of in the Discord channel, and say right now it's pretty much split into 2 different groups of drivers. So they're gonna have to try to find some friends over the course of the evening here tonight to find who you're going to work with. And the other thing to notice is I have a feeling we're going to have a chance to interview some of them. Some of our regular Chevy drivers in the Fords tonight. Apparently, the manufacturer of the car does affect how these cars draft, how they can push. Some they feel like maybe one manufacturer might have a bit of an advantage over the other, even with identical setups. So it's just really intriguing, kind of how seriously these guys take kind of what they need to have for the race tonight.
Yeah, I was sitting here looking while these guys go around and qualify. Yeah, Gabe's in a Ford. I never see Gabe in a Ford. It's just the way the nose is, and how flat those noses are compared to the Toyota or the Chevy. It's going to make a big difference.
And that's exactly. I talked to him a little bit pre-race and said, yeah, the Chevy has a bit of a point on the nose, and that point on the nose actually does affect its pushing abilities. It's easier to kind of upset the car, whereas, like you said, the front of the Ford, very flat nose, and so it makes it a little bit more stable to be pushed on or to push on from it. So, yeah, it's gonna be fun to see what these guys have in store. Looks like Brian Wang threw in a last second lap here in qualifying, because we're just about to kick it over and get our grid sorted here in just one moment. So it looks like I said 20 cars will be the grid for this evening. And like you mentioned, Matt, looks like pole sitter is going to go to that number 25 of Kevin Freeze. So let's go ahead and pull up our starting grid for tonight's event. And indeed, like we mentioned, it is going to be Kevin Freeze on pole position tonight. The next team, you got Gabe Butler by 9 thousandths of a second, Richard Sanchez, Brian Wing, Gary Jenkins rounding out the top 5. Then you got Bud Steele, Eric Laurie, Todd Merkel, Charles Johnson, Mick Monfretti rounds out our top 10. JD Crow, Derek Gilroy 11th and 12th respectively. And then we get to the rest of those top 20 drivers we mentioned there. Edwin Outlaw, Darren Reeser, Donald Stewart, Chris Matthews, Jim Brooks, Bob Fitzgerald, Brandon Briggs, and Todd Siebels will be our 20 starters for this evening.
You have a fellow green white checker guy racing tonight.
Yeah, say Chris hopping in here. He's gonna be. Sounds like he's gonna be trying to do as much racing as he can. But I know he's gonna be on baby watch here pretty soon. So he's gonna be only be able to do as much as he can before parenthood's gonna take over for him. So that'll be a really exciting time for him and his wife, and definitely wishing them all the best. Been able to see them over the past month or two. I was able to hang out with them a little bit. Really great people. But yeah, I mean, look at this though. You see Kevin Freese, Gabe Butler on the front row here on pole position. But like you said, you got 2 shiny Fords up front. It's a different feel than what we're used to. But like I said, these guys take these things seriously, and they say, know what?
They do.
The next gen car, apparently the place to be is going to be in a Ford for, I think, probably comfortability and just the pushing ability.
Right now I am looking through this field here, and I am seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 Fords in this field.
So see if there's any manufacturer kind of dedication or not, but we'll see there as you see the field starting to roll off onto the track here. And like I said, there's a couple of Area 51/green white checkered cars rolling on as well. So we'll see what the strategy is going to be. Fuel mileage is here, Matt, about 20 laps or so per tank, which means this will be a 3 pit stop race. Again, 3 potential of a green white checkered, and 1 change going back to what it was before. It's no longer 2 faster pairs, 1 faster pair. So basically you get a mulligan, and that's about it.
Yeah, I think that's one of our biggest changes we did here in the Super Speedway. We had 2, and I think this is going to make the field just not take too many risks, and I think that's the right call by the admins.
No, I think it's definitely the right call for sure. I think it's just like I said, when you get more than that, I think drivers start to get a little bit over aggressive and like, well, I got 2 in the bank, I can do it. So we'll see. Like I said, these cars drive very differently. It'll be fun to see kind of how they react to certain things in relation to each other. But I think Gabe Butler though, he's gonna have the most interesting starting spot though, because look behind him there. So you've got a rookie.
I was gonna say, look at that paint scheme.
So you got a rookie Stenhouse Jr. staring at the back of that 88 car. So I think Gabe's gonna be a little worried right there off the bat there. Say Brian always has fun paint schemes and definitely jumped at it right off the bat here tonight as well. So with that, Matt, it's time to kick off our 2023 season 1. Again, thank you all for joining us here at Green White Checkered, and we are green.
No boogity from me.
No, I don't think we want that from anybody. But no, so I think there's going to be a little bit of drivers trying to get comfortable, get kind of into the rhythm of things and kind of just feel it out. And the other thing, Matt, is these guys got to remember too, they got a 5th gear in these cars. Some of them might forget, leave it kind of revved out and forth and be like, oh yeah, I got to click it over to 5th gear. So I'm already a little nervous about some drivers falling back a little more than I'd feel comfortable being back there. And that's going to be Brandon Briggs right there in the 00. Bob Fitzgerald right in front of him. He's kind of fallen off just a little bit here. But Brandon does have Donald Stewart, Jim Brooks right behind. But unfortunately, Edwin Outlaw, I think he's already going to be out of the draft here to kick off this first lap. So, again, a lot can happen. You never know how these races are going to go. But right now, let's say Bob is in a good spot here. He does tag back on here. But I'm a little, like I said, I think Brandon, Donald, and Jim are going to have to push hard here to kind of get back to that main pack because they're already 1 second back.
Yeah, like we talked about. You got to be on your game on these restarts. You can't just lay back. What I've learned in Talladega, iRacing hosted a Talladega race, and I had the experience to try it. And starting in the back is very bad. You'll lose the draft. You have nobody behind you. It's really going to hurt you.
Yeah, it looks like they're already starting to kind of jump around a little bit. It's gone from that 1 second now over 2 seconds now between them. They're starting to switch drivers. Who's going to be the pusher? And it looks like now Donald Stewart going to lead Jim Brooks. But again, I mean, the damage is done. That last time by, they were over a second of a lap slower than this main pack here. And what I'm watching right now, though, is we're starting to
Oh,
get.
a big checkup from the
Here comes that.
inside.
Remember I talked about that top line, the momentum that they're going to be showing? It's starting to
Yep.
hook up right now. You got Gabe pushing Brian, or sorry, Gabe pushing Kevin, apologies, and then Brian pushing Gabe, and they are starting to stretch that lead out. And there they go. Three of them get to the inside line there, and it looks like just tagging on there is that 10 of Bud Steele. Bud's definitely been trying to kind of get a little bit more kind of used to these cars, get a little bit more familiar with them. And so I think he's definitely one that's going to be working on kind of showing that he's been improving a lot with these next gen cars. Because again, the Xfinity car is a whole different animal the way they race. And then, so I gotta say, really happy to see Todd Merkel in the 2 car back in the field here as well. So that's always good to see that lime green number 2 in the race.
Be interested to see how this Highline does here in the next couple of laps because they are moving right now.
Yeah, last time by, Bud Steele was the fastest.
Oh, here's a big check on the backstretch.
Oh, yeah, you're right there. Nick Manfredi had a little hiccup there. We'll have to check to see if he's all right. I'm going to go back. We'll take a quick look at it one more time here, looking for Nick. And, oh, yeah, he got into the right rear there for just a moment of J.D. Crow. And, oh, my goodness, J.D., I don't know how he hung on to that car. But, again, that's going to split the field even more so now. So we'll jump back live here to show you exactly what we're talking about. There's Nick. He's all off on his own. Here's JD trying to tag onto the back of these two here, Bob Fitzgerald, Chris Matthews, but they're now 1.7 seconds off the back of Eric Laurie. So in the span of 5 laps here, Matt, our lead pack is kind of split in half, and it's about to split further because look at this. These guys up front here, again, talk about Kevin Freeze, Brian Wang and company. They've got almost a second of a lead there. The only 2 tagged on the back are Charles Johnson and Derek Gilray. And I said, we got to point out this paint scheme for Derek Gilray. That is a beautiful Cartoon Network car.
You know, if Mick Manfredi can latch on the back of these cars right here, this last pack here, they might be able to catch those 3 that's in front of them, and they'll have a big enough frame, and they'd be able to have a 7-car train. Oh, boy.
Oh, big hit here. This is going to be the first yellow of the night. Cars up and around, multiple drivers involved. And it was just a push gone wrong, unfortunately, as you see everybody trying to sort through.
Oh, great Todd Merkel.
Great avoidance by Todd Merkel there. Yeah, unfortunately, it's just a push gone wrong. And unfortunately, it looks like Derek Gilray say we're going to kick off the season with the commentator's curse because that car takes a big, big hit. Just wrong place, wrong time. But I think just a push gone wrong there, Matt. We'll go back and take a look at it one more time here. But I think what we'll see here is we kind of pick up a little early on. But you're going to watch the 25 and the 22, and I think Kevin's just going to get in the 22 and get him just a little bit upset here. We'll take a look here as they head into turn 1. And you can see he's pretty much right on him entering the turn. Ooh. And they look square here. I mean, you can see they're pretty much right on top of each other here. Actually, let's hop on board the roof cannons. Ricky's staring, knowing what's about to happen. And yeah, he was centered. Just the push just really upset the 22 car. And then you see a little bit of contact from the 510, and then right here, there's just nothing that Derek Gilray can do, nothing that the 510, Charles Johnson also involved. And man, yeah, look at that 85 up and over. And then a few drivers try to peek through the 90, makes a little bit of contact there as well. And then Darren Reeser, the 34, also just slight contact. And then watching Bud Steele, and I think Bud's going to get away with that. I don't think he got too terrible of a hit. But you're right, though. Then it's Todd Merkel that was rolling onto the scene here. And he almost was caught up, and everything was looking good. And then here comes the 85, and quick reaction there to jump to the bottom to avoid that one. So great job there by the 2 of Todd Merkel. So let's jump back live here because it is about to be pit stop time for the leaders. And I say I don't think anybody's going to stay. I think we're going to see the whole field to come in here because, again, they're almost halfway through that fuel window.
Wow. This is going to be a big learning curve for us.
No, it really isn't. So I can tell you already, I'm 99% sure that Richard Sanchez and Derek Gilray both use their they use their one fast pair. That's the mulligan. It's gone already, unfortunately for them. So they've got what they've got here. It looks like out of pit road, though, it's gonna be Darren Reeser winning that race off of pit road. Looks like tires. These guys opting to take some tires here, so a little surprised by that. The other question mark, though, I have is going to be Gary Jenkins. I'm not sure if he had to burn his fast pair or not as well in that 90 machine. So possibly 3 drivers, but man, that caution saved about half the field, though, because I mean they had lost the draft at that point.
Well, now since some of these drivers have kind of like settled in, they know what to expect uh, with this upcoming restart. Because you can't lay back with these cars. You've got to go.
Yeah, you gotta be on it right off the bat. So the other concern I have though is gonna be this 12 car, Matt Edwin Outlaw. He did actually wind up staying out, and so the problem is the way iRacing works is the track's 2 mile and larger. They have quick yellows, so basically we're gonna get one to go this time around. So he's not gonna have a chance here. If he hits pit road, he's gonna have to serve a green flag pit penalty. So I'm a little nervous about that for him. And actually, something I didn't think about was damage, Matt. And so that's why Gabe Butler, Kevin Freese had longer pit stops. I think they had some damage to repair, saving the fast repair on their cars.
Yeah.
Also, lengthy pit stop for Charles Johnson, just rolling off now. He was about a minute 20 stationary in the pits. So long pit stop for him. We got a couple drivers topping off here as well.
I'm really surprised Edwin stood out.
Yeah, this unless he gets the yellow, he's going to be in a tough spot here because he's going to basically have to come in
In about 10 laps.
almost 10 laps earlier than everybody else. Yeah.
And it's
But I mean, it might be something where it's like, well, you know what? In general, I just want to try being out front, see what it feels like, and that may have been his best option. So we'll see as the Stenhouse machine rolls off of pit road of Brian Wang. But yeah, so up front though, we're gonna have the 12 and the 34. Row 2 gonna be the 10 and the 08. And again, talk about qualifying right now. Our top 6, all but Bud Steele are plus 11 or higher from where they qualified.
Hey.
So just again, doesn't matter where you start in these races. Pit strategy will make a big difference. Obviously, some drivers having to get damage repairs and so on, but what we can tell you is that everybody still sits on the lead lap in this one. So right now, and unfortunately, it looks like Todd Siebels did not start this event, so he looks like going to be scored in 20th position, which leaves us 19 on track. And we got a fun little road number 3 here, though. So we got the two green white checkered / Area 51 cars of Chris Matthews and Jim Brooks. So as it always works, somehow they find a way to line up again next to each other.
I think I'm gonna. Oh no, I think I'll take the bet on your dad.
I'm curious. I don't think he's done a lot of next gen racing for a while, so it's going to be kind of just getting his teeth wet again, if you will. Just kind of get back used to these things. So, but here's the big thing, though, Matt. Say the first restart again. The 12 has control of it, so he's going to have to again just kind of get some comfort back. But it's going to be interesting. Actually, I said, connection issue here for the 12. That's going to be cause for concern for those leaders. Now looks like sails back in, but oh man, not getting through the gears nearly at all. That whole inside line checking up really poorly here. That's going to be a tough spot for anybody that was behind that car, and that includes Bud Steele. And they're going to go 3 wide here right off the bat.
Maybe Edwin missed a shift. That's really going to cost him.
I almost wondered maybe he just started in the wrong gear, truthfully, Matt. I almost wondered if that may have been what caused it there. But what this has done, though, is it's promoted now Bob Fitzgerald to the point, and he's got help. He's got the 51. He's got the 2 Todd Merkel. And now they got the 5 of JD Crow, but JD's got other plans. He's going to try to get himself to the front. That's kind of the JD we expect to see here.
Oh, looks like we got a black 5 for the 34.
I'll have to keep an eye and see. I'm feeling it may have been in relation to the connection issues that were happening. So we'll see if they get that. Oh, you know what? Yeah, he probably got to the line before the leader, so they'll probably, I would think, take care of it. But yeah, I'll have to keep an eye and see on that 34 if they do get that squared away. But again, though, talk about losing the draft, though. So right now the 34 is in danger of it, and we have 2 again that lost the draft at 12. Who unfortunately was the pole sitter, just didn't have something right there in the restart, and then Derek Gilray as well dropping off the back. So Almost like two, probably three going to fall off the pack now. As right now is say we talk about JD Crow getting the top, and he's going to take that top to the front here.
That top line is rolling there. But the more cars you have, the more it'll roll. But the bottom lane has about 6%. Nope. Looks like everybody's jumping to the top lane.
Well, so they got to have the organization is the other thing too. I mean, you can have the numbers, but if you're not locked onto each other, it's going to be tough sledding. So for right now, though, yeah, it looks like they're doing well, and it looks like Darren did catch back up to the draft, so I think he's going to be okay.
That's good.
Look at just how much wiggle there is with these cars. I mean, Bud is just shoving that 5 for all he's worth. And here comes Gabe Butler peeking to the inside line, and surprisingly, no takers. Looks like actually, I'm trying to see who that chrome car is behind him there that kind of hung him out to dry. I would have expected him to jump with him, but surprisingly, no. Gabe, maybe these next gens might be the great equalizer for that 88 car this season.
You never know.
It's still very early, so yeah.
Yes.
But this is the big change, though. This is what I've been hearing is this outside line. You can keep momentum up really well, and you can just basically it's almost like the Dale Jr. line that we've seen in NASCAR, where these guys run the wall and they want to get to the bottom and pass them, but the momentum they can carry up top here is just it's so immense that it makes it that much more difficult to pass even on the inside line the shorter distance. So again, that's the big difference from this next gen from the Xfinity from last season. So just the way they drive is going to be very different how they want to approach these cars.
Now it looks like everybody's migrating to the top, but as you said again, Gabe and Kevin Freeze are trying to make that bottom work.
And at some point, someone's going to, of course, get back to the bottom. I'm trying, and you see it actually happening now. Gary Jenkins, and saying he's got the crew with him now. He's got the 25 of Kevin Freeze, he's got the 88 of Gabe Butler, Brian Wang's joining the mix. These are very, very stout 4-car tandem right here. And that's, like I said, it's not all about numbers as well. It's going to be about how locked on they can be, and that's how locked on they can be as Gary Jenkins goes right on by those guys. Looks like the top 3, now 4.
Woo, you weren't clear there. Wow, it was close.
JD thought about it, and yeah, I don't know if he moved back up or if he got moved back up, but yeah, that was very, very close there. But luckily, everybody able to hang on to it there. And remember Charles Johnson? We talked about him having over a minute on pit road. Here he sits right back up in the top 5 again, right where he was a little earlier. So he's hoping that the same thing doesn't happen again, because now he's once again in a great spot. Although, I mean, how good of a spot can he be in if you're staring at the back of Ricky Stenhouse on the rear bumper of Brian's car?
It makes me want to think about Danica.
No, they're not an item anymore, so it's okay.
I know. It looks like we turned to single file here, and it's double file kind of went out the way here.
Yeah, I think everybody's having to regroup. I'm looking at the gaps, and so far everybody looks pretty safe. Right now there is a gap starting to grow, though, between these guys, and right here, that's 78 of Donald Stewart. So again, you see the separation they have with one another. They're going to need to tighten up a little bit. The 2's going to need to get to the back of the 78, and it also might be that 78 might have to kind of roll the brake just a little bit to pick up, because once you get in that magic bubble almost, if you will, that's where the lap times really start to form. So definitely be keeping a close eye on these guys, because you can see there's a little separation with these guys and also a little separation from Charles Johnson, I believe it is, back to Darren Reeser. So they got to be a little careful not to fall too far back, because we saw what was happening before prior to that contact. And yeah, there goes that second group. They've easily caught that inside line.
I wonder if they're going to... Just kind of curious if they're going to start an outside line here. Maybe someone might be a little bit curious and jump out of line.
They're peeking over us. While we're watching that, those 4 we were talking about that were worried about them losing the draft, they have merged, or migrated, I should say, up to the top side. As it looks like Edwin Outlaw, we just talked about, Matt, has just hit pit road here. But look at this, though. Those top 3, they got hooked up, and there they go. But look at what happened to Richard here. Last time by, he ran the fastest lap of the race, and now he's at danger of losing the draft just because of those 3 cars getting hooked up and kind of just propelling away from him. That's the big difference to me about these next-gen cars to the Xfinity cars. That normally would not happen. And yeah, here comes that second lane, though. It looks like JD Crow's had enough of just sitting in that inside line. He's going to jump top, and there goes, who's that? Gabe Butler's going to jump to the top there as well in the 88 machine. We're going to see if they split up his teammates here of the 25 and the 90.
Just really curious what the guys in the back of this group here. Are they going to hang on to the draft here, like Eric Laurie and the 5'10" and Richard Sanchez? No, it looks like I think they're okay.
Richard's in danger. I'm not feeling confident about Richard right now. He's going to have to pull a little bit closer in because he's fallen a little bit back, so he's going to have to hustle back
Yeah.
up there. You see, the rest of those guys, they're there, but Richard right
Now
now,
they're hooked up, and yet now he's in danger.
yeah, he's about half. I'm watching the ticker. The ticker's actually going back the right way. I think Eric had to check up for the pack in front, and that's going to bring Richard right back into the mix. But
he got lucky.
he's going to probably rethink, though, how far back he was. And that might be the thing. Remember before, Matt, a lot of guys would just sit in the back and ride. These next gens, you may not be able to. That's going to maybe force these guys to have to be a little more aggressive, a little racier all race long just to avoid the risk of losing the draft.
Yeah, that's some of these guys are in the back right here. They're really just who lost the draft, and they're probably going to have to rethink things. It's going to take time.
Yeah, unfortunately, the three off the draft. Actually, yeah, I need to go and see what happened. But Chris Matthews is one of those off the draft as well in the 17. Will become the 92. So I obviously missed him because he was in this main pack. So I'm going to try to go check my timing and scoring and see where Chris fell off this main group here. Because, yeah, I recall him being way further up here. And looking to see. I'm going to go back a ways and see if we can get a look.
Oh, he caught the wall on lap 15. Yep, that's exactly what happened to Chris.
So we'll see if this is where it all began. He's up top here. As they actually, top 3. And, oh, yeah, just gets stuck up in the wall. And, yeah, it kind of gets stuck in there. And then it gets pulled off. But by the time he does, the field is gone. So he didn't catch that when it happened. But unfortunately, that's what brought Chris out of the lead pack. So, I mean, he's got a little bit of reprieve now. He's got help from Derek Gilray not too far back. And then also the 12 Edwin Outlaw. So hopefully they can all get latched on together, kind of minimize time loss. But right now, though, while we went back and looked at that, though, Charles Johnson and Bud Steele, they found each other now and trying to keep themselves pushed to the front. Talked about the Fords being kind of the dominant manufacturer in today's race, but you got 2 Chevys hooked up and are going to try to make something happen here.
Yep, no longer single file. You knew that wasn't going to last.
Yeah, so they can only go single file for so long before they say, all right, time to get racy again. But with that, though, Matt, we're starting to start lap 21 of 75, now 22, I should say now. They pit around lap 7, lap 8, some topped off. So pit window here going to be opening in about the next 5 to 6 laps for a lot of these guys. And it'll be curious to see maybe if anybody's able to save a lap or so. I don't think it's going to take away the additional, the total of a 3-stop race, though. I think it was still outside the window of turning it into a 2-stopper. So I think there still should be 2 more stops after this pit stop here in the next coming laps. Another driver you mentioned, Matt, that was kind of in the back of the pack there. I think same thing. He's like, you know what? I don't. Ooh, close again there by the 5 of JD Crow, trying to sneak in front of Charles Johnson there. Eric Laurie, though, in the 071, he's decided to move a little bit more up in the field here. He's kind of mid-pack. Nick Manfredi right there with him as well. Again, I think they saw what happened earlier, said, yeah, let's not drop back that far anymore. We're going to stay more aggressive here. And I think that's why you've seen the 071 work his way towards kind of the front half of the field here, that 3rd car on the outside line.
Yeah. There's a couple of times where I've been kind of looking at that 00, but he has a 7 paint scheme. I'm really concerned about him losing the draft, but the bottom line keeps checking up and he keeps going more upward. So
yeah, if the checkup's enough, I say, yeah, like I said, the ticker's going the wrong way. He's about 7/10 now to Bob Fitzgerald, and it's been growing. I say he's almost at it, because there's at some point you get to a window where all of a sudden it's as if you pull a parachute out of your car, and he's getting very, very close to that window. So we'll see.
He's already there.
Yeah, he's 8/10. Yeah, I think now, unfortunately, he's probably out of this draft now. Just due to the outright pace that these guys are able to pull, and again, just the Dragon. Yeah, now I'm watching the ticker go, and it's ticking off very quickly now. He's over a second and a half now. When we're just talking a bit about it being 6, 7 tenths, and yeah, that thing's, like I said, the parachute's out now for that 00.
Like I said, it's going to make your decision making a little bit better as the season progresses. You'll learn the hard way, and I learned the hard way myself. But it's it's a learning curve, my friend.
Yeah, so remember just talking about being 2x2 for the longest time. Now all of a sudden we've got the fields all kind of split up a little bit here. You got a little 4-car breakaway up the very front, and it seems like a car length or two gap between each set of cars. So they've actually kind of split themselves up a little bit. I'm watching the outside line. I think that's the 88 and the 25 locked on to each other. A little separation there. You can see they got a little bit of distance, and so they had to kind of separate to get rehooked and get locked back on again. But this is where the talent and the familiarity with each other is going to come into play. We know how good the 88 and the 25 are, and let's hop on board with this 25 just to show he's not just cruising there. Watch the hands there. There's going to be a lot of motion going on, trying to keep that car just locked onto that 88.
You got lap traffic coming, Dale.
Yeah, you're right. Looks like the 85 of Derek Gilroy will be coming up to the leaders here. And I didn't mention Brendan Briggs. He's actually opted to hit pit road. It looks like, oh, actually, no, I think he did stay out. I thought I saw him on pit road there. No, I'm sorry, he did pit, yeah. So he went ahead and pitted here a little early, just trying to minimize maybe some time loss and see if that helps his chance. But again, Matt, we're losing 3 more cars. Bob Fitzgerald, Mick Manfredi, Jim Brooks, they're all a second and a half off the back. Again, that's just these next gens. You cannot get comfortable. You just had to stay full tilt all the way around. Otherwise, it looks like you're just going to wind up getting burned.
Yep, he's going to lose the draft again. That's, man.
Well, the hope for Brendan is he might be able to pick up those 4 right behind him. I think that's going to be his best chance right now, is if those 4 can latch onto him, that'll at least help his speed. As you see right there, Derek Gilroy looks like he's actually going to go ahead and drop down to pit road here. Don't think this is a schedule stop. I think just decided, you know what, I'm just going to roll out of the way here. And I think it's one of those things, too, where race may not be going the way you're wanting it to. And say it's just like, you know what, I'm not going to take any additional risks right now, especially with the field around me. So we'll keep an eye on him. Hopefully he gets back on track. And then looking for Brandon, and it's going to be at risk. He might lose those 3 in front of him as well, but we got more traffic not too far away from the leaders, and that's that group we mentioned of Chris Matthews, as well as the 12 of Edwin Outlaws. So
he's pitting.
Yeah, and actually, I was going to say, yeah, pit stops are going to be coming here pretty soon, though. And here we go, Bud Steele, Charles Jones.
Yeah, he might have some friends to run with. Oh,
I think
we got our net for speeding. Yep.
Yeah, it looks a little hot for the 10-9. Might get away with it. Looks like Jim Brooks actually gonna come in as well. So this is the first test of these new next gen cars. Also different braking systems. They probably brake very different compared to the Xfinity cars. And unfortunately, it looks like it bit a couple of them right off the bat.
Yep, they're nabbing for speeding.
Yeah, looks like Jim Brooks, Charles Johnson, they get away clean. But yeah, unfortunately, though, there'll be a long hold for the 10 of Bud Steele. And so, yeah, with him coming in, and this is going to throw a wrench into things because as they were hitting pit road, as is the 12 right in front of them, and say, again, nothing intentional. I think he may have sent it a little too hot there as well, trying to stay out of their way. But we've got pretty much the field here coming onto pit road with just, it looks like, 3 of our lead pack drivers staying out 1 additional lap. It's going to be Brian Wing, Todd Merkel, Kevin Fries. And again, though, Darren Reeser, he's going to lose these guys now because they're going to all hook up to each other and try to basically get that really big in lap. So Darren's going to have to get aggressive here, Matt. He's going to probably have to send it into pit road here and try to gain time on entry. It looks like no pit stop penalties for that second pack of leaders, so that's good news for them. But we'll focus on this number 22, the 2, 25, and 34 as they're going to jump in here. Looked like a great entry by Darren there. He was able to really gain some time on those guys. So good job by him. Now it's all about hitting that pit stall. To me, at least, Matt, these cars are notorious to
Oh,
overshoot your pit stalls. So we'll keep an eye and
got a
see.
got a car really slow going down the backstretch.
I think that may be the 51 of Jim Brooks. I think it is.
That's the '08 of Bob Fitzgerald.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. Yeah, there's the 08. But we're going to focus up front here because right now there's some separation once again. So right now, here comes Gabe Butler right now is our leader, or will in theory become the leader. But we'll see, though, because here's Brian. I say these cars, again, this isn't for position. There's Bud Steele. He had the pit penalty. And, oh, look at Kevin Freeze getting so much time on Brian through the apron there. Just getting everything he can, flirting with that blue line there on the exit, too. This going that one extra lap might have actually really paid off dividends for these guys because they have got some pretty nice separation right now as they build their cars back up to speed.
Now the pit stop by Chris Matthews may save him here. He's gonna keep on with this lead draft here. I think he's the first car one lap down as we speak.
Yes, as we're running, yeah, he's the first car one. Bob Fitzgerald actually back on pit road. It looks like, Matt, like you're mentioning.
Actually, I take that back. But Steele is about to go a lap down. It's according to my timing and scoring.
No, you're exactly right. And I'm worried about Todd Merkel. Remember how we talked about he just fell off the back of those two in front of him? I think he's going to lose these guys coming out of pit road as well.
Oh, man.
So these pit stops, man, these things are pretty evil here. It's easy to lose the pack, it looks like, on these pit stops. So looks like these guys, like I said, in and out laps are going to be critical for the drivers. This is really the first at speed lap for Brian and Kevin, so we'll see what their lap time is. They stole a little draft off of that 6 of Bud Steele, but I want to see how that second pack is doing in relation. They ran a 47.
Oh, God, they gained a ton.
Oh, yeah, almost a second there. So, yeah, so Gabe is just about to sniff that draft. So we're going to have about a 6-car lead pack here. And then, yeah, Todd Merkel could not hang on, so he's going to have to wait another 2.5 seconds until he gets caught.
Cars. Yeah, he's got some good cars right behind him, but it's going to be a while for he gets there.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is we saw those 4 of them come in together, and 2 of them came out together, the 22 and the 25, but the 2 couldn't hang on, and the 34 couldn't hang on, unfortunately. And I'm looking at the pit stop times, and I think what happened to Darren was I believe he took 4 tires because he had a 14-second pit stop where everybody else is in the 9-10 second bracket. And so I think just maybe a mistake there on the tires. But up front, though, we've got now actually I should say a 3-car breakaway. Donald Stewart here going to have to try to get that push from the 510 to get back up there. Otherwise, these guys are just going to set sail and try to just basically turn this into a race amongst themselves unless they get a caution.
You know, in the thing of the past, it's always polite to go to the outside and let the cars faster go. But unfortunately, with these next gens, if you're really slow, you're gonna have to stay on the bottom at least to get the draft. If those speeding cars come up, you got no other alternative for us. It's gonna go multiple laps down.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. So while we're pretty single file here, Matt, let's go ahead and run through the field here so we can kind of talk about the drivers and get a great look at those beautiful paint schemes like our leader, Brian Wang, in the Stenhouse Mobile there, the number 22. Right behind him, Kevin Freeze, our pole sitter for tonight. He's also in that Chrome Ford Mustang there, Bud Light sponsored. And then right behind him, Gabe Butler. So again, we were kind of teasing them. Never expect to see those guys in Fords, but here we are. Gabe right now sitting in third, also on one of our front row starters. And we got to go a couple cars back. And can mention Donald Stewart, Richard Sanchez. They did catch back up to the field, so that's big news for them because otherwise it was going to be a 3-horse race. And actually, Donald last time by was the fastest car on track in that 78 Castrol GTX machine. And then top 5 here, last car in that main pack is Richard Sanchez. And the one thing I'm seeing that stands out to me of these lead top 5 leaders, Matt, all Ford Mustangs here. So again, you just wonder maybe there is a slight advantage to that, or if just the way things have turned out, just by chance, it's how it's been. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Drop back to 6, about 4 seconds back. Eric Laurie, unfortunately, kind of on a lonely island with just he and Chris Matthews. Again, kind of limiting damage, but right now almost 5 seconds off the lead pack here. However, he's got almost 7 seconds to go back to the leader of this third group, being led by Charles Johnson there. Got a couple Chevys there in front with JD Crow right behind him. And then Gary Jenkins there sitting in ninth. And then Nick Manfredi rounds out our top 10. And then of this lead pack, also a couple lead lap cars still. Darren Reeser, the 34. And then Todd Merkel in 12th. Also, so basically these are the main lead pack drivers. Then it's where drivers are starting to kind of feel the pain right now. Jim Brooks, he's about 18 seconds off of Todd Merkel here.
Oh boy.
He's got help
Yeah.
at least. He's at least got a friend there of Derek Gilray.
Yeah.
And then he's got to go another 12 laps or 12 seconds. I'm sorry, back to Brandon Briggs, who at the moment's the last car on the lead lap. But again, Matt, he's by himself here. No drafting help. He's about to get swallowed up by those leaders, which here they are. Which is for Bud Steele, he wants to make sure that he does not get caught out of this draft. So he's going to stay right in the middle here. This is his best opportunity to try to get that lap back in case of a yellow. And then we mentioned, of course, a little moment ago, Eric Laurie. Behind him, he's got help from Chris Matthews, who, again, he is also sitting a lap down. Third car, 1 lap down now as Bud Steele swings on by Brandon Briggs. And then we talked about Derek Gilray. He was right up front, Matt, got caught up in the incident, and unfortunately just lost the draft after that restart. And say now he's just kind of in a tough spot here. He sits 1 down still, 4th car 1 down. And then Edwin Outlaw sitting 3 down. Again, some off-sequence pit strategy there when he didn't pit that first time, and just unfortunately just hasn't been able to compete from then. And yeah, unscheduled pit stop by Bob Fitzgerald. Still, I think actually may have retired if I'm not mistaken. So I think 08 and the 45 are out.
Oh, we got it.
And Charles
Johnson.
Johnson. I
pit
don't
road.
think this is scheduled here.
Nope.
No, it looks like this might be it for Charles. Looks like he's kind of taken off and off he goes. So might be it looks like a tow, and I believe going to be a retirement for the 9 machine, unfortunately, as well. So attrition starting to kick in as well. And that could be a couple things. That could be real life where it's like, hey, something's going on that he needs to take care of, or possible hardware issues. You don't know. But what I'm looking at, Matt, that top 5 we talked about, it's getting dangerously close to being a top 4 because I'm watching that 510 and he's starting to fade just a little bit back. That last car is always in danger of losing the draft.
It makes me wonder, just by curiosity. This second group, if they would run the top line, is it possible, being the top line is the fastest way around here? Do you think they would be able to catch him a little bit quicker?
It is a very good possibility, and I mean they have the group to do it. I'm looking at like JD Crow, Gary Jenkins. I mean those are very talented drivers, and they race with each other. I feel like pretty frequently, so I think that would be a good option. But it just might be one of those things where they maybe don't feel like the drivers around them might be as comfortable running the top side. But I mean, I'm watching the lap times right now, and these guys are just, I mean, the lap times are just rough right now. The leaders are running 45.80s. We're going to go back and we'll have to wait for Gary Jenkins and them to cross the line. But last time by, it was a 47.02, so over a second slower. This time by they're going to cross, and it's going to be, again, 47.09, 47.07. So it's just, you've got the trio right here of these 3, and they were monsters on the Xfinity cars, and it looks like it's just ramping up even more so with these next gens as well. So the rest of the field's going to have a pretty big learning curve, I think, to have a chance against these guys over the course of this season.
Well, they're about to have a whole bunch of more cars coming because I'm seeing looks like Chris Matthews, and I'm seeing the 071 of Eric Laurie, and they're about to have more cars latch onto them. So I wonder. I don't know. Seems like they're going to need a caution. 17 seconds. 18 seconds now. It's a big deficit to pick up.
Oh no, yeah. Without a yellow, this race is a 5-horse race, and I said this is where I think Donald Stewart and Richard Sanchez, they just gotta say whatever the leaders do, we do too. So basically, as soon as you see them cut in, you try to jump in with them. You try to get your best entry, your best exit, and then probably either fuel only or 2 tires. I'm thinking, and then get right back out there and just hope that you can tag onto the back of them. Because these top 3, they're going to want to just try to run away with this thing. They're going to try to settle it amongst themselves. That way they don't have to stress about like, oh, what happens if Donald and Richard lock on and they can do something with us. So yeah, they're gonna have to be on the top of their game here. Again, pending no yellows, which right now the top 5 they're happy. 6 on
Oh
back,
yeah,
they want a yellow.
yeah. I'll be feeling the same way. It's yeah, it's a struggle, and these guys are going to learn, just like me.
I mean, that's exactly it. I mean, over the course of the seasons, like I said, this is the first year of going to this next gen car. Before it's been the Xfinity car, even with the Xfinity car, it was I feel like it was this group here that kind of had a leg up on the field, and then it took maybe a season or two, and then the field started picking up on little things that made big differences, and then they were right at them going full tilt too. And again, I feel like too a little bit of a smaller field tonight. Don't have some of the hitters that we'd expect to see. Looking for like I'm
Yeah,
looking at like a Dean Wilkinson, for instance, who's not here this evening. There's definitely some big names that haven't been able to make it or just didn't have the luck tonight as well. I think we will expect to see some. It's not going to be this. I'm not going to call it easy, but it's not going to be this easy for them
no,
the rest of
no,
the season.
it's a big learning curve, and like I said, things take time.
And the other thing is we've got 3 really different style of racetracks. Obviously, Daytona Talladega, that's going to be kind of those will be kind of the same animal. But then you go to Atlanta Motor Speedway, which is kind of in essence a super speedway now, but much narrower. I think a lot less margin for error. You have to be a lot. I don't think you can push nearly as aggressively as you can here at Daytona Talladega. And then you get to iRacing Super Speedway, where that's going to be a big question mark. Those guys have been going 230, 240, and then if they lock onto each other and able to really tandem, like I mean, those things are going to just be hauling the mail. So it's going to be a very very interesting to see, and that coming up in the 4th race of the season, see what iRacing produces for kind of racing for these guys.
Yeah, it looks like your dad's about to get swallowed up.
Yep, as that's going to put the 51 lap down. However, like I said, he's got some help here. But look at this. Like, they're doing exactly what you said, man. They said, you know what? Let's make him passes up top. Let's stay on the bottom here because we'd like to be able to have a chance to hold on to the strats. We'll run that shorter distance here, and we'll see if they can tag on. But this is a battle for Lucky Dog now, too, is that 51 and the 10 of Jim Brooks, Bud Steele. That is important for the two of them as well. So we'll see if they can stay on to this pack here. It's definitely a lot more feasible with the Derek Gilray helping out Jim Brooks there to have him tag back on. As you see, they all clear and they're going to merge back down. So
That's good.
we'll see. But what we do have to look at, Matt, is we're on lap number, we're on lap number 47. They pitted on lap number 30, so should be just about pit stop time here in another probably about 2 laps, I'd say realistically. And like I said, there will be one more stop after this one coming up here.
I think what, lap 50? Are we approaching lap 50?
Yep, we are 3
when they
away.
gotta pit?
Yeah, they pitted at 29:30, so I think probably 48, 49. I think we're going to see these guys hit pit road once more. And actually, there's Derek Gilray. He couldn't go any further. He's going to jump in now. I'm sure a big thank you for him from Jim Brooks, because I think that's a big part of why Jim was able to hold on to the draft. But as soon as I say that, he's got to make sure, again, he's the caboose now. He's got to make sure he doesn't fall off the back of that 510 now of Richard Sanchez. So he's got to stay a little bit aggressive here. But yeah, right now, though, I think pit stop's probably coming up very shortly. And then, unfortunately, looking at the gap to 6th, it's over 25 seconds back to Eric Laurie and Chris Matthews working with him. Just about to get caught finally by JD Crone Company. So it took almost a full fuel run for that 071 to get caught by that second pack. And I don't know if that tells how well this 071 and Chris Matthews have been racing or drafting with each other, or just maybe the second pack just hasn't been running the lap times that they need. So
I think, yeah, I'm really skeptical as, they're not running the same lap times as, Brian Wanger, Kevin Freese, and Gabe Butler up there. See how separated those guys are at? That really hurts them.
yeah, I think the separation is also part of just the draft that they're catching. I think, yeah, Chris Matthews actually just hit pit road there. But you're right, though. They need to be a little tighter on each other here. Because we're about to hit lap number 50 this time around. Like I said, I think this is about to be pit window opening time. But now I'm wondering too, does anybody go full fuel stretch? You see Jim Brooks, he peels off. He's got to hit pit road as well. Is there anybody that can maybe try to save as much fuel as possible and see if they can just kind of sip their fuel and maybe try to make it to the end from this next stop here?
No.
But they're going to need help to do it. Again, I was hearing about 20 laps is probably about the high number. But again, I mean, if you're in the middle of the pack here, if you can kind of just use the draft to your advantage, you never know. I want to count it out against these guys to try to pull some big field numbers. However, here comes that second pack, a bunch of them hitting pit road there. Eric Laurie, Gary Jenkins, JD Crow, Nick Manfredi. Jim Brooks actually just now leaving pit road. So I think based on these guys hitting pit road now, I think, yeah, here come our leaders coming in on coming to lap 51. And indeed, here comes the rest of those guys with them. Oh, a little bit too
JD
hot.
Crow, yep,
Donald
he went over his
Stewart.
pit line.
Yeah, Donald Stewart too hot on entry. A little bit of contact with Kevin Freeze as well. I'm a little nervous about the 78 possibly having a speeding penalty himself on pit road. So keep an eye. There goes JD rolling out of pit road as well. So yeah, but like I said, he lost the pack though with missing that pit stall.
Yep, no speeding penalty for Donald Stewart. That's good news.
But now he's got to make sure he can try to tag back onto all these guys. As looks like, yeah, he's done so. He's able to
He's
actually
gonna gain a spot.
Yeah, he splits the Gabe and. But there was one driver that got caught though, Matt. Richard Sanchez still on pit road. Almost was able to hang with them. That we talked about the 4 cars or 5 cars. Now that goes to 4. But right now our leader actually showing us Darren Reeser. He's able to stretch, it looks like, at least one more lap here out of this number 34 machine. Todd Merkel as well. These guys pitted at lap number 30. So again, so they're at 30 and we're at 25 to go now. I'm wondering, Matt, because is there any viable way they can go one more or go any further? Here they come now, but I don't think it'll be enough to make it to the end, like you said. But I would love to see if anybody could try to pull it off to see if they can run that big field number.
As big a lead as they have of those 5 cars, I wonder if they would try to save. And I don't know. We'll have to see.
I'll say right now we've now got a 4-car lead pack, no lap cars in this mix right now. I'll say we saw Bud Steele with them earlier. It looks like unfortunately he's lost them after his pit stop as well. I'm gonna actually try to find where Bud is, and oh yeah, there he's just unfortunately just fell off the back of him. As Todd Merkel just rolling out of pit road, but oh again Todd though 15-second stop, to me that says probably 4 tires there.
Yep.
And that's not what you want to do. So for Darren though, his goal is he's going to see a pack right behind him here that are pretty well organized. If he can get kind of built enough speed up here, if he can tag onto these guys, that's going to be his best chance to hang on to this main pack. I think Todd Merkel, unfortunately, he's probably out of luck here. As we'll watch 34. He's going to jump to the top. And the hope is that maybe you get somebody to kind of breathe it for you to pick you up here. But right now it's looking tight. I think Chris we'll see if Chris can do him a solid or not. So it's kind of the way Chris usually races, is if he can, he'll try to help you out. But I have a feeling, I think Darren's just out of luck here, unfortunately, too, and he's going to fall right back out of the draft there as well. So this is wild right now, Matt. I mean, we've got still 20
cars all over the place.
Yeah, 23 to go here, 22 at the line. But right now you've got the top 4-car breakaway, and then you got to go over 30 seconds to get back to this group here with Gary Jenkins, JD Crow.
That's crazy.
Yeah, Nick Manfredi, Eric Laurie. And I'm watching Darren Reeser, and you know what? He got a lifeline. He did whatever he did. He was able to pull right back up to these guys, so he does hang on to that pack. So good job, Darren. Keeps him up in the draft, keeps him in the 9th position as well. So really, really good work by him to hang on. I thought he was honestly out of the draft there. Which unfortunately though is Todd Merkel. He is off on his own to talk about being in an island, and with that, he's the next car to go down a lap here. Matt, he's in 10th position, crazy. And he's got no draft, so give it another, I'd say probably 2 laps, honestly, and that field's about to come. Pretty much that lead pack's going to swallow him up here very shortly.
I wonder if their lead pack is about to swallow up the 5th place. That's it. think I've never seen it at Super Speedway.
It is very possible that if we stay caution free and these top four are doing what they're doing, they could lap up to the top five. You are exactly right, because lap after lap they're 0.8 of a second quicker. I mean, they're just hooked on each other. I mean, like I said, these guys race with each other plenty, and they're talented enough as it is, but they're just they're just putting on a clinic right now. So, like I said, then to me that gives extra props to Donald Stewart that he's been able to kind of stay in this group here. Because I'm looking in the Discords and I don't see Donald Stewart in their Discord chat, so he's doing this on merit alone. They're not letting him kind of cruise with them.
Yeah.
He's making sure he stays in that pack, and we saw that aggressive pit road entry. I think showed like, hey, I'm gonna get everything I can get to try to get with you, to stay with you guys here, because I don't want it to be a 3-car breakaway. I want to have a chance at this myself. So, big shout out for Donald to hang on with these guys, because they're not making it easy up front.
No, there's not. Actually, if you really, really think about it, I think he's in the best spot to possibly win this race.
I'm torn. I have a feeling alliances will lie elsewhere for Donald. I think for him to have his best chance, I think honestly, his goal is if he can maybe just, because I think if he jumps to the top and tries to get Gabe to push him, I think Gabe stays with Kevin and Brian. I think they try to get the boot knocker 1, 2, 3.
Right.
So I think for him, he's gonna have to stay basically wherever Kevin is. Well, actually, I should say we gotta wait till the last pit stop, because we're just about there. The pit window should be opening here probably about this time by, so they could pit anytime now should they choose to. And watch for that. That might be the thing, is maybe they try to catch him off guard and say, okay, let's jump in really late, make a late entry here, try to catch him sleeping. So again, he's going to have to be right on his toes to be able to hang on to these guys and pit with them, because if he doesn't pit with them, there's nobody around him. He's going to lose seconds on the next lap by, even if he pitted the second time around. So looking at lap times still, Matt, it's actually, you know what, let's, instead of talking about the lap times, let's pull up those lap times right now, and you can see what their last lap times are. And there you go, the up front 46.11s, 14.16, then you get to 46.63 for that second pack. So again, about a half a second slower, and they're already, what do we say, about 35 seconds behind. They're running 46, so they're 10 seconds away from getting lapped. I mean, that again just shows you the speed of what's happening here. So but what I'm going to watch, though, I still think that there's going to be an attempted trickery, if you will, of a pit stop here by these top three.
They're going to try and leave Donald Stewart out, huh?
I think so. I think they're going to see if they can kind of get rid of him. That way they can put just between the three of them and that make that the race. So we'll see. There's still, again, lots of time to go here. Down to 17 to go, 16 at the line, as again right now Gary Jenkins kind of leading the second crew here. Again, some really, really talented drivers: JD Crow, Eric Laurie, Darren Reeser. And say it looks like Darren's actually been, actually said here they come on pit road now. And like I said, this was that early pit stop that they can do. They're good to go to the end here. Ooh, that was hot by Gary.
Really close by Gary there. He almost got in the grass.
He was flirting with that pit cone as well, and you touch that cone and you're gonna have a bad time. So it looks like he made it.
Oh no!
Uh-oh.
I'm thinking about timing and scoring. I think Gary got the black.
We'll keep an eye on the pit stop length. It should be a really quick stop for these guys. So you start to see the 5 is gone, and there goes Eric Laurie, and Gary Jenkins still sitting on pit road. So it looks like a penalty for him, and that hurts too because they took the gamble to pit early. But look at the separation. They don't have the help that they need. So they're just going to lose even more time. And honestly, that could be the nail in the coffin that we just talked about, Matt, for the top 5 being put a lap down. Because that second pack now being led by, here they come. And looks like they're all coming in together. Oh, again, really hot entry by Kevin Freeze. He's able to get it woed down. Look at Donald Stewart immediately trying to cut low to make sure he's got a safe entry here. So this is make or break. No mistakes on entry, no mistakes hitting your pit stall, and then make sure you got the tires and fuel set correctly. To me, no tires, fuel only. So if you see that car pop up, I think you are in trouble. And there's Donald. He's already down and away. That's a great stop for him. I think
good stop by Donald there. Yeah,
yeah. I think he's going to be okay.
Oh no, I think he's might get. Yep, still in the third spot.
Great job by all four. And again, that's what you want to see. You want to see them all come out in and out together, all right on top of each other. So that was a job well done for those four. And so that leaves now the next cars to pit are going to be this group here, led now by Nick Manfredi. Darren Reeser as well has yet to pit. And then I believe for the lead lap cars, that's pretty much the main group of them. Todd Merkel as well, but he's off this pack, unfortunately. And a little bit of connectivity hiccups here for Nick Manfredi. See Chris actually drop into the apron, letting these guys go on by, I believe. So yeah, so I'll have to keep an eye on that. But right now, this is the next group of cars, I believe, that could hit pit road with Jim Brooks, Bud Steele. But up front, though, here they come. Top four already still going after it here. And just basically now got to wait for timing and scoring update to see exactly what we're looking at time-wise. Because a few drivers got their lap back just by the fact that there's no yellow. And look what they're doing right now. Look at this. They're jumping up top there. They want to get Gabe up to third. Try to leave Donald Stewart out here. This is where, again, this is the
God,
strategy.
they just left him out.
They jumped up top. They picked up Gabe, and now they're going to try to run away with it here.
Yeah, that's...
Oh, Donald's going to be in trouble because, I mean, look at this. They are pretty much in a three-car tandem, if you will. And honestly, Donald's powerless against this.
God, I'm kind of hoping he latches up. But there is a group of cars, another group of cars. Man. Look at the timing and scoring guy out. It's shrinking.
It's going the wrong way, yeah.
Yeah, it's going the wrong way.
Like I said, that was the concern. Say if they try to leave him out there and they pitted with him and he was with them, he did everything right. But then these cars just, you get them hooked up and then you can just run away. And the other thing that they're doing is they're sniffing the draft of these 3 or 4 cars in front of them. So they're picking up speed all the while. And yeah, now we talked about that parachute. That's exactly what Donald's got now. So he's going to be a lonely driver out here. As soon as this pack with Jim Brooks and company pits, it's going to be a very, very lonely feeling for that number,
I think
78.
I think we lost Donald Stewart.
Oh, did he actually fall out?
He fell out of the server.
Oh, just to just to make matters worse, unfortunately for Donald.
Unreal.
That's a tough break for him. So right now, these are the top 3, and like I said, I mean they're on pace right now to pretty much lap the rest of the field up to. Well, now it looks like it might be just the top 3 and then lead lap the way they're running because these cars in front of them, they still have to pit. Darren Reeser, Todd Merkel, they still have to pit as well. And so, yeah, so we'll have to wait and see how this is all going to kind of shake out. But right now, it looks like these guys on track are going to run it as far as they can here, which I think is the right call. You want to try to not fall out of the lead lap if you can get away with it. It looks like they're going to pick up the 90 there of Gary Jenkins. Try to add him to the mix there because the more cars they can have, the faster they can go, especially if they're not on the lead lap. It's one less thing to worry about. But, yeah, right now, though, it's without a yellow, I think this thing's going to be tough sledding for these guys. And next time by, we're going to be down to 10 more.
That's I'm at a loss for words. It's just unreal. The way these cars react, and it's different.
It's going to be a very, very big learning curve. Again, this is fixed up. It's not like those top 3 have anything different than everybody else. It's just they know the ins and outs of these cars. They know what they can do to kind of give themselves an advantage. So right now, like I said, these guys are just kind of cruise control here. It looks like they're just going to back it down. They know these guys in front of them have to pit. So right now you got Jim Brooks, Bud Steele, JD Crow, and Eric Laurie all on the tail end of the lead lap here. You also see one they're picking up, trying to help that driver out there. I think that was the 5'10" of Richard Sanchez getting picked up by Kevin Freeze, pushing him back up into this pack as well. So,
good Lord, what a push!
And yeah, exactly that. It's like you see how effective that they can be. It's insane how good these guys are. So. But eventually, these guys out on track here, they're going to have to blink. What we saw earlier was Gabe, Brian, and Kevin. They pitted early. They said, hey, we're in our window. Let's pit. We can make it to the end. And then these guys are saying, let's stay out as long as we can, hope for a yellow, because then we'll all get back in the lead lap, and then we hit pit road. As a little bit of tight there coming out of the pits there between the 51 and the the 85 there.
85.
I say it looked like Jim kind of squeezed the yellow line a little bit to me, but
Yeah.
that definitely I'm sure was probably a little bit of a wake up call for a couple of those guys.
Now I'm quite interested to see what's going to happen here. Who's going to be the first to blink?
I think these guys are just going to run until they absolutely have to pit. So it's just the question is, is Jim burning the most fuel, leading this pack? He pitted at 48. Bud Steele pitted at 49. Actually, JD Crow pitted at 58, as did Eric Laurie. So I think they're okay to go on fuel. They just, unfortunately, like I said, they had lost the draft. So this was them getting a lap down, and we saw the separation that they had. So I think that's what we're seeing on that side of things. I see everybody's going to try to separate around. And
We're going to have a little bit of separation here.
well, but look what they were able to do. They were able to get their teammates all lined up with each other. So now you've got pretty much the boot knockers all lined up top here with Jim and Bud on the inside line. And so, yeah, so they know that they can just kind of push around these guys up on the top side. But they got to be careful with those
push
pushes.
Gone wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I believe this could be a lucky dog battle as well, depending on where the lappers are. Because right now I am showing actually Jim is the first car one down for the moment, which is actually keeping the 5 and the 071 on the tail
right
end. So yeah, so this is actually a lucky dog battle as well. So what they're able to do is they're able to keep their teammates up front, in front of leaders, to be on the tail end of the lead lap, which would then make Jim the first car one down. So as I say that, though, thought it's about 3 wide there for a split second. Then they get back in line here, and now everybody's back a lap down here as the 22 and the 88 go on by these guys.
You pretty much got a race winners. Oh, here comes Jim Brooks.
Yeah, that's a scheduled stop. Yeah, he had a pit there. We're coming to 6 to go here, so he ran as far as he could. Probably means we'll see Bud Steele, and I would say probably next time by in that 10 machine. But what's interesting here, though, is you got Brian and Gabe now lined up nose to tail, but Kevin Freese has actually got a couple cars in between himself and his competition up in the top 3. So does he maybe try to use his teammate in the 90 of Gary Jenkins maybe as the pusher, if you will, to try to get to the front? But as soon as they say that, actually, he jumps to the inside in front of Richard Sanchez. Maybe he feels like Richard's going to be the guy to push him to the front. So I'm curious to see, because, I mean, right now it's pending any craziness at the end. It's kind of settled between these top 3. It's just who's going to be in what order at the top. And, yeah, there goes Bud Steele hitting pit road.
Question is, are they going to hang on to it for 75 laps? That's what I'm worried about. Any kind of crazy moves, the little caution we had earlier with Kevin Freese where the push gone wrong? It could happen.
Yeah, no, you're definitely not wrong there. And so right now you wonder for Gabe, if he can keep Kevin a couple cars behind him, then he says, okay, I have the opportunity here where I can basically I can try to make a move on Brian without risk of losing third to Kevin. But I think regardless, so I think any move we see is probably going to be with after the white flag is out. That way they know it's pretty much settled amongst them, and honestly might even be out of turn number 4. As you see, there goes Todd Merkel. He's got to hit pit road for his final stop. A big move there by the 5 car.
Kevin Freese. Look at Kevin Freese.
He's trying to find somewhere. I think he's trying to figure out what lane he wants to take to have a chance here, because we're down to 4 to go, and right now, I feel like Brian's in a great spot, but I just wonder if they're just waiting, seeing if they can do something with him here at the end.
Well,
also, you mentioned Darren Reeser was sitting in 4th. He's just now hit pit road out of that 34 machine. So that's going to be his final stop here. So that's going to, right now, as it sits, Matt, we have 3 lead lap cars. And 4th on back, a lap or more down. Just how crazy these guys have been. A little push, gotten squirrely there in the back there. The 071 and the 5 there. Eric Laurie and JD Crow almost had a moment there. But right now, though, like I said, Kevin's got to figure out what he wants to do here, because he's still got the 90 in between him. Like I said, he could maybe try to latch onto the 90 and use him to his advantage here, possibly kind of get locked on and do that tandem here once they get to that white.
Like you say, it's about that bubble of air. It's going to take a lot to get to his bumper.
I say here goes. I say I think this is too. I think JD and Eric say, you know what, we don't want to finish a lap down. We want to stay on the lead lap, even if it's tail end. So I don't
Yeah.
think they're done yet either. Here, I think they want
No.
to kind of fight after these top three spots as well. So that's the things right now. And Eric and JD right now, that's fourth and fifth positions right there. That's again just the pace of this race and just how dominant Brian, Gabe, and Kevin have been. And I said I think the heartbreaker of the night goes to Donald Stewart, who was in that whole group, got
Yeah.
ditched by him, and then had his connection drop just like right afterwards. So it's, as they just to make matters worse there, unfortunately for that number 78 car tonight.
Yeah. I feel kind of really bad. Oh, we got a little trouble here. We got it's like Jim Brooks is on that inside line.
Yeah, he's trying to decide where he wanted to place the car here. It looks like he's going to go with the inside, but looks like he's going to get some help potentially. And it looks like, yeah, they're going to lock on behind him. So we'll see if this is maybe the momentum shift that Kevin Freeze needs, because we're down to one to go here, Matt. Final lap is up in the air. So now can the 25 do anything? There he goes. He's going to jump to the inside, but he's going to need help. And right now doesn't have any takers yet. Here comes JD Crow with the big head of steam. Kevin maybe dragging back to pick him up here. And they're also going to have some traffic up in front of them. I believe that's Bud Steele as well, who's going to try to stay in front of Jim Brooks for position. So it's not all said and done here. These guys are going to have to do some maneuvering.
Well, see what Brian Wang does. Does he go to the inside? Well, we do have a lap car coming.
Well, that's the thing too. Is Kevin's stealing the draft.
Factor in. Here we go. Wow, cuts right in front of Brian Wang. What a move.
Slide job out of turn number 4. Kevin Freeze going to hang on to get the win here tonight at Daytona.
Stole one.
Over Brian Wang and Gabe Butler. But I got to say the story of the night, though, Matt, is going to be the top 3 lap the field here tonight with the one caution at Daytona. That's just, again, I mean, that's just unheard of to me. But again, these next gen cars, it's a whole new animal with these things. So they've showed right off the bat that the rest of the field is going to have their work cut out for them. They're going to have to step up their game to have a chance to try to get these wins and just honestly compete for the wins as well.
Wow. I've never seen that before.
I've seen some crazy things by these guys before with the Xfinity cars starting from the pits and then catching the field. They've done some pretty big moves before. But yeah, this one's definitely up there for just outright dominance and just kind of showing what they have here for the rest of the field. And so I think that we're gonna probably get some team celebrations here, and I think we're gonna do as well as after said celebrations, we'll pull up the team these 3 together to have a chat with them. Also gonna have to do some practice on these burnouts because I'm a little nervous. Kevin might get hooked here on that seam, and I think he just got stuck there. But nope, he's gonna find a way. He's gonna roll out of it there. I got nervous for a second that he's gonna have to do some more burnout practice in that number 25 car tonight.
Think about these cars. If you want to try to get out of the way, and how low these cars are to the ground, if you want to get out of the way, let the leaders race to the line. You're probably gonna wreck and try to go onto the apron of the racetrack because look where Brian Wang's car, because he's barely on that apron and he's stuck.
Yeah, he's got to have to roll off the back there to get unstuck. I think Kevin's going to help free him. He exactly does. So while they celebrate, we'll pull up our final results before we get to our interviews tonight, Matt. And there it is, Kevin Freeze over Brian Wing and Gabe Butler, our top 3 for the evening. And like I said, 4th on back, a lap down. JD Crow, Eric Laurie rounding out our top 5. So it is a boot knocker top 5. So, I mean, a great job by all of them. Then you got Nick Monfretti able to bring it home in 6th. Darren Reeser, Todd Merkel, Gary Jenkins, Bud Steele rounding out our top 10. And then Jim Brooks, Chris Matthews, Richard Sanchez, Brandon Briggs, Derek Gilray, Edwin Outlaw, Donald Stewart again, who unfortunately had that disconnect towards the end. Charles Johnson in 18th. And then the final 2 finishers, Bob Fitzgerald. And unfortunately, Todd Siebels did not make it this evening, but I believe will get scored with 20th position. All right, Matt. So let's go. Like I said, we're just gonna grab the crew here, and we're gonna kind of have a chat with all 3 of them. Because you've got the teamwork that they were able to do all race long, so I think it only makes sense to bring them all in here together. So we're gonna pull in our top 3 finishers here tonight. Again, Brian Wang, Gabe Butler, and Kevin Freeze. All right, guys. I know you guys are. I mean, we know you have the skills. We know what you guys are able to do week in, week out. But I guess the first question is: have you had a race before where you've been able to lap the entire field? Because I mean, to Matt and I, that was just unheard of. And I mean, you guys were just every lap a second quicker. These guys are gonna have a steep learning curve to have a chance against you guys. It looks like this season.
Yeah, we were discussing during the race like what can be done. A lot of this car comes down to learning how it behaves in the draft, what you have to do to make efficient time. Because if pushing with this car, you have to be efficient when you're doing it because you're battling temperature the whole time. If you stay in their bubble, you're slowing them down. If you're not pushing, it's a whole hard. It's really hard to learn, and it comes down to repetition. So I hope people don't give up on the car because this can put on phenomenal racing.
I mean, you guys were definitely putting on some really good racing. So I think Matt and I were saying the hard luck award, if you will, goes to Donald Stewart. Was able to hang with you three, and then you were able to kind of get that triple trio, if you will, lock of tandem drafting, and then there was nothing he could do at that point. And then then it's like to rub salt in him. It's like, hey, let's have a disconnect as well, just to make things worse for him. So, but yeah, I mean, you guys were on it. I mean, and it showed how tough it was because even your teammates, who we know how good they are, like JD and Eric, mistakes were made and they weren't able to keep up. And so, I mean, it was not an easy one tonight. So I guess we'll start with you, Gabe, finishing in third. Obviously, first thing we have to give you a hard time about is that blue oval in front of your nose there. So yeah, and then also I'd say it's a little Guinness free as well. So I mean, are we gonna have to get a new painter hired for you? I mean, is that what the difference was tonight?
I don't know, man. I might. I think I bumped my head today. I was telling you earlier, and I ended up in a Ford. So I hope Dude Conrad ain't looking, or he'll put himself on the edge of a cliff. But enough said about that.
All right, well, we'll pretend nothing else happened on that one. So we'll just throw some emblems on it to make it look more accurate. But yeah, I mean, strategy wise, I mean, it looks like the race went pretty well to plan for you. Obviously, the one moment with the one caution that came out, but otherwise, I mean, you were able to. I think you got a little bit of damage out of it, but able to spare the fast repair and then keep after it, and it looked like the car was no worse for wear.
Yeah, no, it was only 10 seconds worth of damage, or 11, which was nothing. But like Kevin was saying, this car is it is a learning curve. It's a completely different animal. I was really hesitant about it at the early last year, and then I started practicing in it, a few practice races, and I really started to understand the car a little bit better, learning from Kevin and some other guys and Brian and so forth. And it's actually fun once you get the hang of it. But it's like anything else, you still got to nail your pit stops. You got to figure out your brake bias, things like that. But once you get the hang of the car and you understand what you can and can't do, then it actually becomes fun. So I hope guys don't get too discouraged with it. And maybe we can make look at some different race rule changes or something like that. Maybe we can help guys along.
Well, I mean, let's say you're going to have three very different styles of racing. Obviously, here in Talladega will be kind of the one form, and then Atlanta's going to be its own little animal, and of course, then you get to iRacing where these things will be just screaming down the straightaways. So, obviously, it's going to be each track's going to bring their own little difficulty and difference to the races. So it'll be fun to see how it plays out. For sure. And like I said, it's the first race of the season. I mean, we've seen you guys before with the Xfinity cars. There was a big learning curve for some of the other teams to figure out when you guys were able to kind of work together so well. So, I mean, it's one of those things, like you said, they just have to kind of step it up a little bit, try to learn what they can from you guys. And I mean, I know you guys aren't a team of secrets. Like, if people ask for help, you guys help them. So I'm not at all worried about that side of thing either. So it'll be fun to see how it all shakes out on that front for sure. Because again, we're in race 1 of 12, only 20 cars tonight, so I have a feeling we're gonna get a few more people over the course of the season, well, to make it back here, maybe holiday hangovers, if you will. But and then Brian, it was looking good there, and I think you're hoping to go 1-for-1 in the Stenhouse mobile, but I'll say look at Kevin. Kind of was. I saw Kevin hanging back. I mean, did you feel like someone was going to try to pull a fast one on you, or what were you thinking there towards the end?
Yeah, it was. Everyone knew we were just gonna race each other at the end, and yeah, he got a pretty good pass, with some draft from lap car below, and yeah, it was just a good pass at the end by him.
I mean, do you feel like if you channeled your inner Ricky, would you have done anything different?
Well,
We'd both be in the grandstand.
then you'd only have one
Wow.
car on the lead lap.
Yeah, like and that run, and that's also learning these cars. Like I was full throttle for I think those final 3 laps. Just the way people were taking runs around us, it would just pull me back. And then I thought I was gonna push. I think it was Todd Merkel was on the bottom, and I was tandemed with him, and I was like, oh, I'll get him back up in front of Brian and all this. And then he went into pit, so then I got cycled to the back. But that's a lot of what this car is. When you get a run, you take the run. It really rewards being aggressive and just hanging it out there for the race.
Yeah, that's what I kind of noticed during the race. A lot of guys, when they would get a run, they would kind of back off and stay with the car behind. But if they would just let off just a little bit, it would just kind of kill the momentum, and they would fall like 6 or 7 tenths back, and they would just lose the draft without anybody behind you. You're pretty much like screwed.
Yeah, this car is like if you're one of the last cars in the draft line, you have got to be 10 out of 10 smart in the times that you choose to lift, because you are, once you get to like 3 tenths, 4 tenths, if you're that last car and don't have anybody to push you back up, you can lose the draft that quickly. And it happens before you even fully notice it. I was running an official race with Cody Niegels, and he had the same thing happen to him, but we were able to get back up there. But even people who have experience will have that happen to them, because you're just riding along, not thinking anything of it, and then all of a sudden you're dropping like a rock. But you have to take those runs to also learn what the car can do, what it's capable of. And the side draft in this car, it is so strong that I was surprised the one time we went to the inside, the outside line faded so fast, because if they just came down even half a lane, they could have stopped our run. But it's those things that I think people will learn to use as the season goes on. And I mean, we had a lot of practice races, and a lot of people didn't take full advantage of that to learn these things. So now the learning curve has moved into the season.
Yeah, definitely going to be some work to be done for some of those guys. Like I said, and I have a feeling the fields are going to grow a little bit more as well. Like I said, I think we lost a few drivers that we expected to have earlier this week as well. So hopefully they are able to make it as well. But I mean, I say you guys, like I said, I mean, you put on a really good show, kind of a clinic there at the end. And honestly, it wasn't just outright pace. There was like I said, there was the miscues getting in pit road, getting in your pit stall. I think I saw 1 or 2 times drivers unfortunately took 4 tires instead of 2 or fuel only. So I mean, there's those little things that rust you got to shake off over the new season, if you will.
Yeah, or bumper swiping Brian, right in the beginning of the race.
I don't know. I didn't see anything. I don't know what you're talking
about. I went back and looked at it already. I was like, oh, dang it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is it's all of us. You never know how it's all going to pan out there. But before we let you guys go and celebrate with one another, Gabe, we'll kick it off with you, man. Like I said, well, a very good look at number 88 car. But definitely want to give you the floor for any thanks and shouts for that podium tonight, and say what you're looking forward to the rest of the season.
Just thanks to the boys that are racing, but it's always a blast. We always have fun and trying to learn off each other. Of course, yourself there and Matt for doing a wonderful job on the broadcast with Green White Checker TV. And I mean, I'm looking forward to this car at the different tracks. It's kind of thrown a wrench in the works, so to speak. And I think it'll be very interesting, especially at Atlanta and iRacing Super Speedway. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's going to be a whole new ball game for those two, especially. I'm looking forward to see what that brings for everybody. So that brings us to Ricky, Brian, Stenhouse, Wang. What about you, Suros? I mean, definitely want to give you the floor. I mean, again, I don't know who your painter is, but they deserve a raise because I mean, you just come out with fire every week, man.
Yeah, it's a great paint, and yeah, thanks to you guys, of course, for the broadcast and everyone at Area 51 and everyone at Team Bootnaka.
Last but not least, Kevin, that brings it over to our race winner and that new bright and shiny Bud Light mobile. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say who the painter on that one was. But yeah, I definitely want to give you the floor here for your win tonight, man.
Yeah, thank you and Matt for putting on the broadcast, and thank you again for putting on the broadcast for us Friday night. If anybody out there wants to see a pretty good show, go back to the race that Gail was nice enough to broadcast for LG on Friday night, because we have 51 drivers put on a heck of a show. And thank you to the Area 51 admins for another season, starting it off. And hopefully we have a strong year and everybody has a lot of fun out there on track.
So I don't think you could start off the season much stronger, you guys. So, like I said, the rest of the field's got some work to cut out for them. But let's say we'll be back next week at Atlanta. Will be fun to see what everybody's got in store for that 1.5 mile super speedway, I guess you could call it now, with the way that reconfig is. So, great job tonight, guys, and look forward to seeing more of you over the season.
All right, bud.
Thank you.
All right, Matt, that is our top 3 tonight. Say Kevin Freeze, Brian Wade, Gabe Butler, able to break away and say look at the positions of those guys where they started. Kevin on pole gets the win. Brian gained 2 spots from 4th to 2nd. Gabe from 2nd to back to 3rd. So at one point we saw some really big high climbers, but in the end those guys were able to find their way back to the front. So for us, though, that should do it here tonight at Green White Checker TV. Matt, as always, a pleasure doing these with you. Looking forward to getting back behind the wheel as well with you here. I'm gonna do some open wheel racing. That's about as much as we're legally allowed to say anymore on that one. So we'll be missing the broadcast on that one. Unfortunately, I said there's been some legal developments that are preventing Green White Checkered from being able to broadcast that series on Tuesday nights. However, if you enjoy racing open wheel cars, definitely feel free to check us out at area51iracing.com. Say website's been in the works. I'm doing my best there, so got links to the website, to the Discord, and so on and so forth. So definitely check us out there. And then we'll be back on Green White Checkered. We'll be back on Thursday night for the Super Speedway Truck Series, back here once again at Daytona. I believe Maxwell Caldwell and Boomer Logan are going to be calling that one. I'm going to hop behind the wheel of a truck and cause some trouble and see if I can kind of battle out with these big boys, because I got to do something, man. These guys are, I'd say, can't let them stink up the show. I feel like I got to do something here.
Yep. I'll be joining you there, Kyle. I kind of can't wait.
It's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, thank you all again so much for joining us here on Green White Checker TV. Dale, Muff, always good to see you guys in the chat. I know it's a little late now for you all on the East Coast, but hope you all have a wonderful weekend, a wonderful evening, and then we'll be back again on Thursday night. So until then, take care, stay safe, and we'll see you all on Thursday night.